Hi and welcome to this video, and I thought I'd mention some of the things that I didn't get around to that I wanted to tell you at the time. Don't know if any more will slip my mind, but there is definitely. So the first one, I think one of the first things, I wanted to talk about what happened since what I now call God has saved me, and I want to tell you, like, that's what I felt like, to be saved out of the situation, and new thoughts in my mind, but like, it's just so different now. That maybe some of it's like that took me to a new learning that I then wanted to share. So by now it's like moved on so far, but suicidality was one of the themes. Definitely the whole faith and questions about how come religion can tell us this, and how can both our faiths, everybody who believes in the one God, how can there be like some explanations to the differences, and how come one religion says this and one says that, but when they mean the same in the middle, they meet in the middle, the truth is already there. But then sometimes words we read or things told us this, and sometimes people get confused. So I wanted to. This was so important to me. I loved it so much. I wanted to bring that out so much. So it's a bit of a bummer that I didn't have. I'm filming this chair because there was something that happened here I wanted to tell you about, and I wanted to kind of share some thoughts on like dark things. Like some people are like into kind of dark walks of life, and I learned something where this shadow came and they wouldn't listen, but the whole story can, but then as Christ saved me when I asked him, and I learned that the purpose of life is live, and I have this here, so that's really cool that when you sit there you actually get to see it. And it's, I don't know, some of the things I wouldn't even be putting out there as the person I've become, and now wouldn't even be putting them out there. And like there was so much I learned around that, and then I got to see it differently, because at first I was, maybe not even a good way though, like I thought I'm spreading love and shared it with everybody, and I didn't see until later like that people what they want from their lives also plays into it. Like, and I mean, when it comes to, even if you think I kind of thought, who does love not work for? It's great for everybody. But if I went into detail, it might make more sense. But there's more things I wanted to talk about. There was one person who, deceived me, and deceit is deceit. I learned from that, and I posted that at the time, and I wanted to share that with you. The story about that. Then there was definitely a lot of learnings around violations, and like especially between man and woman. Well, man to woman, because obviously I experienced life as a woman, so I don't want to leave anyone out. And at the same time, it does seem, it did, at least the way I've experienced life, there's something to that we do tend to think of women as like the weaker gender, generally speaking. And I learned a lot of things around that, and even I wanted to talk about, rape, and the statement, you did that to a human being? And these words I had, and I wanted to tell you those. There's really a lot of things, but there are some of the main things I'm putting in this video, but I don't know if you understand, because said so fast. I wonder if people kind of think, okay, because at the time it would have been to way more depth and shared in detail and all those things, which at least if I never get to it then. And I started seeing more and more value in it, and I was even more like, I wish I'd said this, but also so much more glad for the things I did get to say. A lot of evolvements around, like, whenever I felt like I wasn't getting where I wanted to be, and then the evolvement around that, and like, at least I can do is follow my purest intent and be honest with myself and tell the truth, and like, if the only thing that I can, my best is the only thing I can do better now is be honest about this, then that's what I'm gonna do better. Like, that's just one example, and I wanted to share. Because at the time, it was like, I felt like I owed people, like, the explanation, and then new things would happen, and new things, and, well, let's go in the right, because, well, did I forget anything else? Well, romantic love is something a lot of people asked about. I want to talk about that, and one of the things was, even there were some person who, well, thought they loved me or liked me, and I wanted to tell you, but I know that they loved the purity that I was putting out, rather than me. And I think we all love purity. We all want to be around purity, and maybe they'd never encountered it like this through a person or something. And I don't want to swing. Oh, one thing definitely I want to tell you was that I could always see different people doing, like, there was always more than one person almost always doing the same thing. So it was almost like, never to be embarrassed, because there's like other people going through the same thing, definitely somebody else in the world. So in terms of what we're learning, and then the stress I found, well, what else did I want to say? Well, there was some thoughts that I felt needed clearing up about, homosexuality, and also some things that Christ taught me about money. I'm not sure about that. But some of it got through, but it's a recording, but it's not on yet. I have just so much footage. And, there was a perfect encounter I had with a person, and the dress, it's in there. Oh, I don't know if this is messy. It's a lot better than, it's kind of good. It's in here, but it was just everything was just like perfect. I learned a lot also from the encounter, and she was a stranger, but what we needed to, we didn't know each other, but we learned from each other what we needed to learn, and like it was kind of perfect, and everything that this person like shared with me is like exactly what I needed to know. And I think I did the same for her before I knew it. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to open it with one hand, but there are so many things like learnings, and I want to talk about because I kept seeing this fish hook necklace. I wanted to share about how it's almost like, and harvesting souls sounds a bit dark, but it's almost like that kind of the fisher when it's, I think because it's almost like fishing for but souls, but like in a positive way, like and bringing them back to God, and it almost felt like that. There was even something with, all of a sudden I saw all around me people like saying we don't need to be embarrassed about, and it's almost like, and then there was something about that. There was something about, there was more. There was just so much more. Never to be embarrassed about sharing about Christ, because he's Christ. Like, we can stand up for that. And that was one of the challenges. The other things did get out, and there's more. And now it's up my mind. What was it? Like, I just so wish I'd gotten to it, only simply because then people would know. And then I even had evolvements around those thoughts, getting two things, and I wanted to share those too. And what else? It's just been on my mind. What time is so? Lights move, and I wanted to share about that. There were more thoughts on, I think, wearing a headscarf, but I did put them on Facebook. How valid our involvement is, but I think that did come through simply even by evolving. Sometimes that does come through. I don't know what to call that, but it was when I learned, to choose God over everything and anybody, and that kind of thing. And I wanted to definitely tell you the story. And if I didn't want, only because I didn't know the value in it yet, I wanted to. I felt like at least I owe people like the truth, so I wanted to tell you what I was going through anyway, if there's anything I couldn't do. But at the time it feels like this, but then like when you find a solution, you finally have the solution, you know. So then it's there, and we don't see that before that point comes. Is there anything else? Cause there were a lot of things that did happen, and I do have footage, and then because all of this stuff was happening, and then I didn't get to, and that's a good, like, didn't get to it. It's different from saying I didn't get to it. Like, you know, like something just kind of stops you. But I'm just wondering, I'm just thinking, is there anything I missed? There are a lot of little things that, like, in between. There's definitely more, but I wanted to mention, like, the main themes. I just remember, and it's funny, because yesterday, when I did the shoe video, and I noticed, like, I said one thing that I didn't even remember I'd said. And it's like, it made me realize, like, all those statements, those sentences, like, I remember them. Like, I remember pretty clearly what I wanted to say, like, verbatim. I mean, I did evolve through the point where when we start becoming forgetful, it's when we kind of, within that time, the time sort of finding its coming to a close, when what was needed within that time, whatever had happened and hadn't happened, that's how it had that's how it was. And then, but this is different, but I still, like, I remember almost like verbatim, and sometimes things come in mind, and like something sparks, like, oh yeah, that happened too. Oh yeah, I want to tell them this too. And I had a lot more, like, well, shopping habits, but also like simplifying your life, minimalism. Which again, minimal is different because you can be simple. You don't have to try to be minimal in order to live a simple life. And also one recent but still, like, I remember, it made me realize, like, I remember, like, almost verbatim the statements that I wanted to put out at each time. I didn't get to it, and I did extend my apologies at a time, actually twice, or actually more than once, for if there's anything that could have helped someone that didn't get put out. And I mean, I was new at this, so I didn't know what was coming, it was like, I didn't expect, because I didn't think, what more can life hold in store, you know? You find out when it happens. Rainbow babies, but I wrote, you know, about things on Facebook, so, and you know, some comfort for maybe people who might have lost a loved one. It kind of kept coming through at times, but those were things. I'm filming the shoes because I watched the video and, like, I realized, and that was the first time kind of, I didn't know I said that. I don't know if I said it without, well, not without thinking, because I was thinking, but it kind of came out, and I heard it when I watched the video, and, like, I said that. And with everything else, like, I remember the statements, and it might sound different because I'm putting different things from different times in the same video, so, like, I don't know if it's not a contradiction when the first thing happened and it's valid in its own right, but then later you evolve to the next learning, and then that's valid, and it is so valid that I remember literally almost verbatim the statements that I wanted to say at the times. And there was when I didn't feel my arm. And it wasn't really like it had fallen asleep, as we call it, but it was kind of like that. I don't want to worry you, but it must have been because of that, kind of, because I know I was lying on my arm, but it didn't feel the same. I wonder if that was trying to tell me something. I think, but I don't know what, but maybe it's something related to, like, fainting or something, or not really. I don't know. If we don't live our lives, it's almost almost like a faint. It's almost like a unconscious state. I'm not sure, but that happened. If you ever, like, I don't know, get there, or if there's anything maybe there's something to it that I didn't capture straight away or grasp at the time. But I mean, I'm wondering if there's any other one that's, but these are already a lot of things, and I wonder if people get that it's like how it would have been. It would have been said to so much more depth and so much more detail that I wanted to say it the other way around. So much more depth and too much more depth, so much more detail. So a lot more things might have come through, and one of those things that I ended up wanting to tell you too was that sometimes people don't know because you didn't tell them, and you didn't get to it, or you didn't have, and when you didn't have time. That's when, like, I thought them, but then I didn't get to say it because of time, and then people don't know you thought it, but if they blame you later, and then I was worried that people, or I was thinking, you know, what if people say that, oh yeah, she's saying it now or something, they hear it later, but it's like, what can I do? I didn't have the time. But those are some of the things. I'll wrap this video up, but I hope you liked it, and this at least will give you like an idea of how much more there, or like what more there was. And also, if some of these themes were of particular interest to someone, at least they knew, like, it was on my mind, and there was so much I wanted to talk about. So, this shall be it. Wow, 16 minutes telling you things that, I mean, that's how many there were. But I'll see you in the next one, and I'm just filming shoes. And I hope I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching and taking note of this. I hope you liked at least getting an idea of what more there was. And I'll see you soon. Because now I've started to kind of delete more things as I go along once they're uploaded, and let's see whether that kind of changes how I do those things. But only seems to be like at the moment few people watching these, so I don't know if they don't have an interest anymore. But I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, and take care, and goodbye.